Welcome into the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And yes, today on the show, it's been a while since we were on. I was sick for like 3.5 weeks, which didn't help.
Then it coincided with the holidays and
yeah, not good. Everyone was getting sick. I don't know.
Well, there's a bad flu going around right now. Emergency rooms are full.
Did you catch it?
I did not. I was one of the
good.
Fortunate ones.
That's good. Yeah, I got it. I think it was right on Christmas Eve. I was really sick, and then just progressively got worse, but then it was gone. But then I had a cold for like 3 weeks. But we're all back, and we're ready to go here. We're going to start off talking about the Bears. Man, a lot happened. And pretty much have a new revamped coaching staff, starting with the head coach, Matt Nagy. And, Mark Helfrich is in the mix now from Oregon, and also Dave Tobe's son, right, is the
offensive assistant.
Offensive assistant, yeah. So there's a lot of new things going on, and it's really a positive thing going on with the Bears organization right now.
I think everybody except for Steve Rosenblum is excited about some of the things going on. He still can't stand Ted Phillips and George McCaskey. They're still the McWonks to him.
Yeah, it's understandable.
It's understandable. I remember, we were waiting for that press conference, after the season ended, and then all of a sudden you hear right before it's going to start that team president Ted Phillips was going to open with a statement.
I know, everyone was really upset about that, but luckily he didn't talk about the football necessarily. He was just there to introduce the new head coach. So. But yeah, it's kind of annoying. I didn't like how when they were going to do their coaching searches that Ted Phillips and George McCaskey were going to tag along with Ryan Pace. I thought that was kind of interesting. But it seems like they made the right choice. This guy was high on a lot of people's lists, and I know
the Colts reportedly wanted him.
Yeah, the Colts wanted him, and of course, he might end up with Indianapolis now, so we'll see. With Josh McDaniels, I'm talking about. I know a lot of people wanted him. A lot of people wanted DiFilippo from Philadelphia.
That was my number one choice, him or McDaniels.
Yeah.
Except the one thing Nagy has done a good job of so far is assembling a good staff. And that's one of the advantages to hiring a coach earlier on, because you have pretty much all the good assistants to pick from.
Yeah, I like that they worked really fast with this too, which was something that we haven't seen in years past necessarily. But yeah, just going back to sort of the end of the John Fox era, I think we pretty much knew it was a done deal that a couple days after the season was over, he was going to be fired, and a lot of people in the moment, I think they kind of regret it now. A lot of people in the moment wanted Ryan Pace gone as well, but there's just not enough, information to go on as far as Ryan Pace. He's only been here for, I guess this was his third season, right? Mm-hmm. That he just finished up because he came in with Fox. And
one thing was that Pace was pretty much on a different timeline than Fox. Once he drafted Trubisky, you weren't going to fire him after 1 year after he drafts a quarterback second overall. And especially in a draft that had some very good players where you had Eddie Jackson, Tariq Cohen, Nick Kwiatkowski, Adam Shaheen, along with Trubisky, and all of those guys showed flashes of brilliance at times.
Yeah, I think especially with this draft, he really hit on most of the people in this draft. His first draft was pretty, not good. Of course, you can't really blame him for Kevin White necessarily. It was a good pick at the time. It's just it's been tough with all the injuries. We'll see.
At the time, as you said, they were taking the best player available.
Right.
Unfortunately, and there's really nothing you could do about the injuries. It's unfortunate it's all of these lower body injuries that'll be limiting his speed probably at some point. That draft, really the big standout that's still here is Adrian Amos.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. And, then of course, especially... they drafted Tariq Cohen. He looks like a nice piece. He's going to be here for a while. Of course, Jordan Howard the year before, or a couple years before, he's done a really nice job. And, yeah, it just sort of looks like they're getting everything together. And, of course, Vic Fangio is going to continue to be the defensive coordinator, which is great news because when you look, I saw something, I think it was ESPN Stats and Info tweeted it out. when you look at the comparisons of the Bears defense from the 2016 season to the 2017 season, it's a stark contrast. I mean, they were in the bottom for like every category in 2016. They were in the top 10 for I think they were 11th in one category, but they were in the top 10 for all those main categories on defense this year.
And remember, keep in mind, he did that without a Pro Bowl player. And I mean, Akeem Hicks was probably a big snub. That was a great signing.
Yes.
And also factor in all the injuries and all the games that were missed. And he literally went with the next man up, and whoever it was performing.
Yeah, they did a really nice job, and of course with Trubisky, you have to continue to develop him and continue. He's still young, so he'll still have his ups and downs, but I mean he did a pretty nice job, and for the most part, the Bears beat the teams they were supposed to beat.
You mean the Browns?
Yeah, that they were supposed to beat the Browns, and they accomplished that, and a couple other teams too, and they were in position to win a few games, like against Minnesota in his first start.
It's still mind-boggling, at least to me, that they beat the Steelers.
I know. I mean, I guess you could say it was early in the season, but I mean, yeah,
Mike Glennon was the quarterback, though.
Right, and they should have won that game a few minutes before they did with that huge run back by Tariq Cohen or whatever it was. And, it was called back, but then they eventually got into the end zone.
Right,
anyway
he stepped out of bounds in overtime. I mean, that was an exciting game. I think that was one of the hottest games at Soldier Field, so maybe Pittsburgh was getting exhausted from the heat. I don't know. I mean, hey, they went 4-0 against the AFC North, and
and then a division that the Steelers usually go and beat up on every year.
Then they kind of went 1-11 against everyone else.
Yeah, not so good.
Including 0-6 in your own division, and that's going to be one of the keys. That's going to be one of the keys to getting back into contention is to start winning in your own division. You can't go 0-6 against them every year.
The way it looks right now, they should beat Detroit. I mean, you have to beat a team like Detroit. A team that's always struggling, kind of like the Bears, but with the people in place now and Trubisky in his second year, I mean, you really have to beat Detroit. Hopefully both times. If not, you have to beat them once. And of course, Minnesota's a really good team, and Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers is hard to beat, of course. But
it was hard to beat them without him.
Sure,
for the Bears at least, it was tough to beat them without Rodgers.
Yeah, that's a team. I mean, that's a team that just solely is relying on Aaron Rodgers. They don't have a whole lot of much else. But they, of course, with Aaron Rodgers, they're pretty much Super Bowl contenders every year. And we'll talk about the NFL playoffs too, coming up later, as well as we'll give our picks for this championship weekend and a pretty exciting NFL playoffs. At least last Sunday was for sure. And so I mean, just to finish to talk about the Bears here. I mean, they're getting things together. It looks pretty good. Pretty much every coaching position has been solidified now, which is good because they can focus on the draft this year. And, of course, there's a lot of good guys coming out of draft. If they're looking for a wide receiver, I think you're spot on with that. They should try to get Ridley. And
some
there's
people
a lot of good options.
Some people are trying to make a knock on him that he's going to be a 24-year-old rookie. I mean, I don't think that's as big of a deal as some people do.
No,
I mean, he's the best route runner in college football, and the Bears need a good route runner. He can catch anything that's thrown to him. I mean, I think he's the number one target that Trubisky needs and can get.
Right, and then hopefully Cameron Meredith will be back. He was a solid option before he got hurt. Solid maybe number 3 receiver, something like that. He's from Illinois State, so he's a local guy, sort of, so I think it would be nice to try to keep him.
And then obviously you're probably going to add 1 or 2 guys in free agency, and I'm really hoping that they can sign Allen Robinson or that the Jaguars elect not to keep him. Because
that'll be a tough decision.
Remember, a couple of years ago, he was one of the best wide receivers in the league. He was a number 1 guy, and then the year after that, Blake Bortles just regressed so much that it was affecting his ability, and unfortunately he tore his ACL in week 1.
Right.
So I think he'd be a good get for the Bears. I mean, him and Trubisky could really have it going.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they'll do. I think that'll be an interesting question for Jacksonville too, because I mean they've done pretty well without him, and I know Andrew Luck didn't play this year in their division, but Other than that, I mean, Jacksonville's a good team, so we'll see how it goes.
And I believe Blake Bortles will be eligible for free agency, so he's going to be due for a big pay raise.
That'll be interesting too. If someone really, I wouldn't look too much into it, but I mean, you never know. He has had a pretty nice year, and he had a great game against the Steelers. So we'll see how it goes. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll continue talking about football. We'll talk about the NFL playoffs too, and just sort of how crazy it's been. You got Blake Bortles, Case Keenum, and Nick Foles in championship games. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with that and how well they've played this year. We'll take a break. We'll come back in just a few minutes. You're listening to Sports Renegades on SportsTownChicago.com.